excuse me. Yeah, so I'll just read a small poem. Everyone is aware of Sister Gopi. She's our regular faculty now. She's done 3 or 4 talks for the last entire 1-year series which we did, and this is the 4th one now. So Sister Gopi is indeed a mine of gold because she's left away the world which is old. She's got this beautiful ability to mold, which keeps everyone in her company also rolled. Let's not try to get in our lives any complex fold and just wait for the divine drama to unfold. Because life has indeed it has blessings manifold and is full of stories which are untold. So in the end, then there won't remain any chance to scold because relations are too valuable to be sold. So with this now I go on to royalty, a few words on that. Royalty keeps me away from playing the game, whereby now I stop putting the blame. I do not desire for myself any name and also want to be away from the false fame. I have stopped giving excuses which are lame because I've realized that all of us are indeed the same. And now I have put my shortcomings and weaknesses to a shame. So with this, over to Sister Gopi, and thank you so much. And she's joining with us from Madhuban. She's here since almost 2-3 weeks. Thank you so much, Sister Gopi. Welcome.
Om Shanti. Is the sound okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, it is.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful poem, Manoj Bhai. It's always a lovely way to introduce somebody, take people into the fragrance of poetry, and a very royal way to introduce someone, I might add. So I think before we explore this subject, I'd like us to step into some silence. I remember many years ago in a conversation with Dadi, when I'd asked her, what is royalty? And she described the state of royalty as the experience of the silence of the soul world, the state in which the highest on high state in the soul world. And it made me think afterwards how silence is connected very deeply with a royal state of being. And so without further description, let's take a step-by-step approach and go into that highest on high experience of silence. So wherever you're sitting, I'm going to invite you to sit up straight, spine erect, both feet on the floor. And let's just begin with our usual tension releasing exercise. So take a deep breath and fill your abdomen and hold it. And release very slowly on the out breath, releasing any tension you may be holding in the body. And now just tighten all the muscles in your feet and your legs. Clench all the muscles in your feet and legs and toes, calf muscles, and release. And again, and release. And now clench all the muscles in your stomach and chest. Pull your stomach in and release. And again. And release. And now all the muscles in your arms and hands, and make your fingers into a little fist. Shoulders, arm, hands, muscles. Clench as tight as you can. And release. And again. And release. And now take a couple of deep breaths in. Hold it. And breathe out slowly through your mouth. Breathe in. And breathe out. And as you allow your breathing to settle into a gentle rhythm, feel all the tension in the body dissolve. And allow the body to come to a state of deep peace and rest. The senses calm down and are released and present now. And now begin to feel yourself inside. There's a powerful current of energy that gives life to this body. And as you step behind the mask of this face, you start to become aware of yourself as a subtle being inside. And as that current of energy concentrates, behind these eyes, you start to experience the softness and sweetness of being light, of being the soul. And you start to feel the gentle nature of the soul. The sweetness and innocence and purity of being. The quality of the soul creates a sweet fragrance. And you let yourself rest in sweet silence. And now, from this awareness of yourself as a subtle being of light. That is full of qualities. You go deeper inside. And let yourself become a seed. The seed that is implanted in this body, that is the source of life. And as you go deep underground, it becomes more and more silent. And in becoming a seed, you experience a detached silence. In which there is stability and power. And you say to yourself, I am a master seed. And from this place of detachment, you become aware that you are a master creator. Of every thought, word, and act. And now you slowly open your eyes and look out in front of you. Whilst remaining aware of yourself as this seed inside. Om Shanti Shanti. What did we just do in this journey of silence? We began to reclaim our inner power and inner authority of being a creator. And of course, these steps are simple, but when they're practiced regularly, you can switch from being a victim of circumstance to a creator and a benevolent authority. And for me, this state of recognizing my treasures and powers and having the choice to create with them is the state of Swarajya, self-rule, becoming a self-sovereign, which is at the heart of royalty. And so the cultivation, first and foremost, to silence of the body. So many signals have come to us about taking care of our body. It doesn't mean becoming health conscious. It means taking care of our movement, taking care of what we eat, what we do, so that our senses stay cool and non-reactive. Then we can hold an elevated seat. And we can hold the awareness of being a creator and a master seed. And so in many ways, this practice of silence, it allows me to restore my self-sovereignty, reclaim that royal position of being a self-sovereign. And of course, we understand that there's one aspect of royalty in its original form that is based on virtue. And then over time, as we lose awareness of ourselves and we lose connection with our virtue, royalty has taken on such a limited expression, where from the beginning of the Copper Age, kings and royalty were not by virtue, but through conquest, where suddenly land was conquered, property was taken, and somebody decided to make themselves a king of a land. And you know, the word royalties are paid, derived from that time, when gold and silver was being mined and minerals, a percentage of that was given to the sovereign of that land. And so it's interesting to see the degradation of this word royalty from a very unlimited divine definition of the giving and receiving of virtue to property, money, land, transaction, and a complete disregard for virtue, as we see in today's royal families. They are simply human beings struggling. What is it going to take to tap into my virtues fluidly and easily? And in my own meditation practice, I've come to see and understand and also feel that at one stage in meditation is experiencing God's companionship. When you experience the loving companionship, it automatically creates a sense of disinterest and detachment. Because so much of our sense of royalty has become limited in the sense that it's just a set of etiquettes or manners, but they're only surface value. And yet, experiencing the grace and divinity of virtue, that's a completely different state. So it requires me to access a completely different state inside me, cultivate a state of mind inside me. And so the first level is just experiencing God's companionship. Because I feel within that companionship, the love brings with it a natural detachment from egoic tendencies of limited name, of fame, of attachments, and an interest in a spiritual state of being. Sustaining God's company also requires me to learn to put a full stop to anything that will pollute the experience of this companion. And so learning to say no to waste and learning to say no to negativity is a big part of starting to elevate my state of being. And then there's one stage I need to cultivate. And that is what we yoga incorporeal stage. In this stage, all virtues and all powers automatically manifest, and negativity is finished. And this stage is very deeply linked to the experience of silence, and especially the silence of the home. You know, as we understand it, we are human beings and we love our human journey on this earth. Yet we know there's something more than just the human journey. The subtle journey, the journey of light, the journey of experiencing myself as light, feeling light, being light. The journey of experiencing my own goodness and sharing my goodness. The incorporeal stage allows us to experience a level of silence in which we can reset, neutralize, and unlock our virtues. Because a lot of the expression of our virtues is suppressed under reactive tendencies, suppressed under old habits. And until I cultivate a depth of silence that allows me to step into another state that neutralizes the effect of old habits and reactive tendencies, I won't experience true grace. You know, royalty for me is so deeply linked to divinity and grace. And grace means a divine order flows. Everything is in its order and something is flowing. There's no push or pull anywhere. There's just a complete natural divine order playing itself out, and I'm a part of that. I've aligned myself back into that divine order. And one of the things I deeply appreciated about Dadi Janki was her royalty of being and presence. How did I see that manifest in relationships? Because she had cultivated this incorporeal state over a long period of time, one, she never had negative thoughts about anybody. Imagine how protective that state is when you come into connection and relation with people and no negative thought arises in your mind. The second aspect was the aspect of what I would term as non-interference. She was almost so much in tune with God and with the drama and the flow of life as being accurate and moving towards a divine order, that she didn't allow herself to interfere into people's stories. And yet she held a very benevolent vision, a very benevolent attitude, a trusting vision that enabled people in her company to quickly elevate and shed whatever they were going through, without her even having to ask. I mean, I can barely remember a time in our relationship, my relationship with Daddy, when she asked me, "How are you?" She didn't even need to say that. And I feel, when we talk about royalty, there is always this connection of speaking less, speaking sweetly, speaking softly, but that's not an artificial exercise. It comes from a deep place of knowing everything is going to be okay. Everyone and every person has their own part on this world stage. And let me play my part. And so within that state of knowing and understanding the bigger picture and remaining in the flow of it, without letting myself getting hijacked by expectations or desires or wants, then suddenly things begin to synchronize around me. I start to experience grace in my life. But the seed is always incorporeal. I, the soul, experience the true nature of peace. And I experience where I belong, to God, in that sweet, silent home. I've lately been spending some time with Brother Nuer in Ahmedabad. As I arrived from the UK, I had a couple of phone calls with him, and it was quite clear that he was going through some quite challenging episodes with his body. And I decided to go and spend a few days with him as a friend, as a sister. And as I sat with him over those days, I said to him, "What are you doing in this time? What is the soul doing? We know what the body's doing. We know the upheavals the body's going through. You had COVID many months ago. You've had water in your lungs. You've had issues with your stomach. You've had blood pressure fluctuations. So we know the body and its games. But what is the soul doing in all of this?" And Brother Noah gave a beautiful answer. He said, "Of course, when the body fluctuates, it creates a teeny weeny bit of anxiety, right? Because what you think you can do before, which is get up and go, suddenly you can't just get up and go. You can't just jump up and start running, because the body starts to put the brakes on. And so this teeny weeny bit of anxiety, when it starts to come on, I just say to myself, but you're an eternal soul. And the moment I say that to myself, the anxiety just disappears. I am an eternal soul. And just for a few moments, feel this statement. And just feel how, when you dive into the experience of eternity, it releases you from all neuronic reactions immediately. I am an eternal soul. And it just starts to release you from the whirlpool and the polarized energy of the human level frequency. And suddenly you're in a place, we say in Hindi, saralta, easiness. Is, I think, the path to royalty is you first got to become easy, not lazy, but easy in yourself and in the experience of what's happening in and around you, either physically, emotionally. But the experience of being an eternal soul helps to create a sense of easiness and acceptance of what is as it is now. And it's only when I reach a level of easiness and acceptance can I then offer and realize the virtue that this situation is asking for. Because no matter what packaging something comes to you in, a demanding situation, a difficult person, there is only one ask from you, and that is a request for a virtue, the cooperation of a particular virtue. And so for me to realize what that virtue is, stepping into the awareness of being eternal releases me from the push and pull dynamics down here, takes me into a place of easiness from which I can be more objective and clearer. And then I can continue my journey of silence and step into the incorporeal state. And very naturally, the virtue that's required will emerge. It could be respect, it could be patience, it could be love. And so I would really encourage you that, whatever's happening in your life at this point in time, just hold this question. What is it asking from me? And then let yourself step into the awareness of being eternal and incorporeal and see what feeling emerges. And once you become the embodiment of that feeling and quality, then you and your presence is the solution. As you change your vibration, you automatically become the solution. The solution is not a conceptual thing. It's not an intellectual thing. The solution is an offering of a virtue. So I deeply feel that cultivating silence physically, sweet silence, the sweetness of experiencing myself to be the soul in this body, detached from the body, and then dead silence, detached silence, the experience of being the seed in the home. And suddenly, all my powers are at my disposal. Very royally, I can use the power of words to share. I can use the power of my eyes to share love. And with very small input, you can get a bigger outcome and you can get much more mileage. So I think cultivating a state of royalty is getting to that point of being and feeling myself to be a self-sovereign. so that I'm not giving my power away. You know, we lose our royalty when we enter into familiarity. You know how old dynamics take over, and old ways of being and speaking, and we start to get absorbed in someone's story. Just think about this much. When someone's speaking something, and, you know, sometimes people have a way of sharing stories, bit of, you know, chatpati masala mixed in, and suddenly you find yourself getting drawn into that story, and your attention is shifting and enjoying the entertainment of that story. In that moment, you're just giving your power away. And you're just saying to the other person, I am going to dance to your tune, and I'm going to dance to your story. And they have you hook, line, and sinker. They can manipulate your emotions. They can manipulate your state of mind in that moment. And instead of experiencing the royalty of your dignity, you experience the subservient of being a slave. And then you may leave that interaction feeling a little bit like, oh, well, that was interesting, but I don't feel very comfortable inside, because you've just given away a bit of your power. So I'm going to stop there now, because I wanted to keep this simple and natural, and know that you can't manipulate your external expression. You have to start from a very authentic space inside that is truly a space of pure feelings, silence, goodness, where there's no negativity present. And then your divinity will automatically work for you in a very real way and a royal way. And you know, as we cooperate with our virtues, that is our generosity. And as you cooperate with virtues, you multiply that, you create a chain reaction of that around you. And whether people are willing or not willing, they will engage into a dance of virtues with you. I've seen that happen many, many times when I really make the investment in that state of silence. When I let myself get disturbed, and so then I have to work harder to get people's cooperation. So, Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you so much for being very brief and concise. So shall we take a few questions? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. So is there any difference between divinity and purity?
Purity is linked to truth, and purity is a state, and divinity is the expression of purity. So that's why we call the deities of heaven divine human beings, because they express the fullest colors of purity through their eyes, through their expression, through the sweetness of their words. So divine is an expression that you experience, and purity is a state of being. a very truthful state of being.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to touch upon this. Actually, we did it in the last Q&A. It was a second question which we shared. It's about various forms of royal weaknesses which we have. So do you want to touch upon that and let us know a few things, your perspective?
Royal forms of weakness?
Yeah.
There's 3 royal forms of weaknesses that I know Baba has spoken about, Daddy has spoken about. Carelessness, laziness, and making excuses. Carelessness is when it comes on when I don't give my full attention to complete something. You know, it's like something lacking in my attentiveness. And you kind of just go, okay, I've done enough now. And as you feel like you've done enough now, you rest on your laurels, but you don't see something through. I mean, it's as simple as, you know, when someone's coming to meet you. I remember some people would come to meet Daddy. She could satisfy a person in 2 minutes. Why? She would give them 100% attention. She was never careless with her attention. And so because she wasn't careless with her attention, God could give that soul whatever he or she needed very, very fast. And so our attentiveness is a channel that allows God's power to work in our life. And being careless means kind of loosening my attentiveness faculty, letting my attention faculty go to sleep. And then laziness. And laziness has a lot for time. So I'll postpone a good thought. I'll postpone a good action. Because, you know, I'll do it tomorrow, it's okay. I don't have to pull it to do it now. And, you know, this is where I really saw Daddy's skill. And, you know, the thing is, when you postpone something, what do? Especially when you postpone a good thought or a good act or something that can bring benefit, you actually create more anxiety for yourself. You create more subtle pressure for yourself. So I wonder how much of the anxiety and pressure we experience is because we've actually just been lazy in that aspect. And then I suppose making excuses, another royal form of weakness. I guess for me, it comes when you've let your vision, when you've compared yourself to what's happening around you and adjusted your bar to fit in. And then you make excuses. Well, everything's like that anyway, so it's okay. You know, it's okay. And you lose sight of I suppose you dilute your aim, you dilute your own personal standard to something lower.
Okay, thank you. A sister is asking that I wake up with anxiety the first thing in the morning. As soon as I'm awake and conscious about it, it's like a feeling of butterflies in the stomach. So not a very good feeling. So she's asking, how can I use a royal virtue to help myself at that moment?
I think one of the first things to address is how you're going to sleep at night. Because the product of how you wake up in the morning is very deeply linked to how you prepare yourself as you go to bed. If you're going to bed reading from your mobile phone, you're absorbing other people's anxiety. You're absorbing people's stuff, and you go to bed in that state, you're going to wake up with that stuff in your stomach. You go to bed watching TV. And again, that gets absorbed and disturbs your emotional state. And you wake up with that same stuff. It's how it is. It's like everything that's in your short-term memory gets translated or gets shifted down into your long-term memory when you're sleeping. And so, you know, it's almost like we absorb stuff that disturbs us. And so then your subconscious has to work all night to try and organize all this stuff you've collected in your mind, your conscious mind. You end up getting dreams, you end up getting funny visions. You wake up in the morning, you feel, and then you try and overuse your intellect to cope with that anxiety. And in the process of overusing your intellect, you disassociate from yourself. So, you know, I'm just looking at this from a very real perspective. Look after your mind before you go to bed, which means at least for half an hour, 45 minutes before you go to bed, stay right away from that mobile phone, stay right away from the television. Opportunity to write in your journal, to do a bit of meditation, to relax your mind completely, and to just be and experience God's presence, God's very loving and soothing presence. And then when sleep comes naturally, go to sleep. And you'll find every day as you do this, every day, you're going to start to wake up with the feeling that God is with you. And when you wake up, don't touch your mobile phone for at least half an hour. So, you know, I think it's more about learning to take care of yourself, understanding what it's going to take and how to look after yourself so that your mind is able to remain clean and light before you go to bed.
Okay, great. There are two questions. I'll just club it together and we'll take it as the last one. It's slightly lengthy, so bear with me. The sister is asking that when I'm in a situation or an interaction with someone and I'm pulled to react negatively due to my own weaknesses and the negative energy of the situation as well, but later I feel guilty as I had failed to not be situated in the self-sovereign state. So what practical tips of practice can you give us to overcome these situations, such things where I lose my self-sovereignty and I get pulled negatively to react negatively?
You know, step one, when something is happening, for a period of time, just observe what's happening. That's really important. We tend to miss that step. And we try to kind of practice something that is perhaps not quite connected with what's needed now. First step is just observe what's going on. Observe what's happening inside. That's all. And as you start to observe it, just seek to understand it. Like, you know, if there is like a woof emotion coming up, then just imagine it's a little kid that's just going, woof. Well, what would you do to a little kid? You would just understand it, observe it, and just for a few moments, be with it. Because just that process of being honest with yourself, which is observing and understanding what's happening inside you. Don't try to understand the situation. That's endless. But what you have to do is understand and name your feeling. Yes, I do feel this. And in the middle of this, I, the soul, am still okay. And you know, it takes about a minute and a bit for an emotion to pass through you. But if we're fighting with that emotion and trying to do something else and avoiding it, we prolong that struggle. When actually, can I just sit in the eye of the storm, observe that feeling, say, yes, I feel that, And I am still okay because I am an eternal soul. So that way you don't set yourself up to create this polarity of failure and victory and defeat, because it's not about that. It's a transformative process. It's a very gentle easing up. It's a gentle releasing. It's a gentle stepping away.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think time is up. We can just take this very small question, a beautiful one. How can we deal with people in authority who are far away from being royal?
You got to up your royalty. It's the only way. Yeah. You can't, when we're faced with any kind of opposition, which is often people's bad behavior towards us, or generally, people behaving in unroyal ways. If you cancel the O out, you get the word position. And so you have to learn that these are messages for me to stay in my position. And that's what's being asked for. And so a tighter screw and a more deeper practice of silence needs to be cultivated, because that's the test paper in that moment, is how long can I maintain my position for?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. And now I'll invite the seniors with us, Dr. Ashok Mehta, to give us the official vote of thanks. Over to you, Dr. Mehta.
Thank you, Gopi Ben, for those beautiful words expressed through deep silence and through the deep meditation that you took us along. I find that you are almost like a clone of Dadi Janki. Dadi has cloned people, those who lived with her, worked with her, and served with her. I think you are one of those beautiful persons. Thank you very much for being so royal and spreading royalty. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti Ashok Bhai. Lovely to see you.
So thank you so much, Dr. Mehta. And I think Sister Claudia also is with us. So Sister Claudia, if you can also, thank you.
Om Shanti. It was very nice to hear from you, Sister Gopi. And it was a very practical way. So you show us how to deal with some situation comes in our life, and learn how to become royal, do in a more royal way. So thank you for being with us today, and show us and guide us in the way to make our life better. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
Okay. So with all this Thanksgiving, let me just quickly share the screen and tell you our upcoming events. Just a moment, I'll make it full screen. Yeah. So interesting dates, episode 27 and 27 November, easy to remember. The next value is, can't see.
It's not full screen and it's not moving. It's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll just do it again. I'm so sorry. I don't know why it plays around like that today. Okay, is that okay now?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see generosity on the screen, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you for that. So interesting date and episode, easy to remember, 27 November, episode 27. Respected Sudha Didi, who's the director of the Moscow Brahma Kumaris centers there, on generosity, Udarta. As you know, we always do end in a month the one value with a silence retreat. So this time it is silence retreat on royalty. All of you are welcome to join. It's for 2 hours, same timings. We'll keep you posted on the WhatsApp. And we are so fortunate, Sister Gopi is there with us, and it gives me immense pleasure to announce this while she's here with us. We started this work, the Values for Life events, the talks and the workshops. The first workshop was last year, 5th December. And on the same day, Saturday, we are celebrating the first anniversary. Again, it's as usual, Brother Eric, who's the national coordinator of the Canadian Brahmakumari Centers, and he will be in conversation with Sister Gayatri. All of you have also listened to her. She has done 2-3 talks for us in the workshops. And two beautiful souls, Sister Gopi and Brother Yogesh, both of these will be giving you an experiential activity, like they will be facilitating, and they will be doing a lot of experiential stuff with you all. So please make sure you all are watching it. It's 8:30 p.m. India time. Again, we'll keep you posted with the flyers. And as usual, carrying on after the talk is the workshop on generosity. And this time it will be Sister Luciana all the way from Brazil. And I probably think we'll be having a few translations in Portuguese as well, and maybe a few other languages. We'll see how it goes. And just to note that there's a little bit of time change. We are moving forward 15 minutes India time so that we can generously accommodate the Canadian West Coast time as well, because it's too early for them. But that's still 6:15 for them in the morning. It like clashes with the morning classes time. So we are trying to accommodate that and see whether we can push it half an hour. So let's see, we'll start with 15 minutes fast forward and see how it goes. It's because the clocks go behind there. And this is our elegant calendar, thanks to our very dear sister Kosha and Anu sister who work on this and make it a reality. It sums up what we are doing. And these are our websites and email, vihasaindia@gmail.com and vihasa.in. And all the recordings of the workshops can be accessed on omshanti.tk/workshops. So with this, I'll just stop sharing the screen. And Mr. Gopi has mentioned, thanks for all the good wishes. I hope she's around. And yeah, okay, thank you. So I don't know what you want to do in the next 5-10 minutes, whether you want to do a meditation or drishtis in silence. Just let us know.
I think we can close with a few minutes of silence. And just invite everyone to step into their graceful selves and allow that sweetness of the soul to pull you inside.
Om Shanti. Thank you so very much for your time and energy. Thanks a lot.
Will ask, request Sister Gopi. I know sweet silence, we don't want to come out of it, but a lot of us look forward for the photo. So we'll just take a quick click. If everybody can switch on your videos. If not, whoever are there, will take the photo. Few seconds for all to switch on your video, please. Okay, we'll take it now. Okay, please, everybody's coming up with their videos. Thank you. With a grateful heart for Sister Gopi for taking us deep within ourselves. Thank you. Now.
Shanti.